Now, to our next issue in today's episode, more than 9 years after a legal battle began between a Grant County family farm and the Washington State Department of Ecology, those two sides are waiting to find out if the state Supreme Court is going to take up the case. This is a fight for Ron and Robin Fody and Fody Family Farms around water use on their farmland, which is just outside of Moses Lake. While ecology on the other side contends the family had no right to tap into what they consider to be a vulnerable aquifer. So here is part of my conversation late on Thursday with Ron and Robin Fody.
The real issue is, did the DOE provide us technical assistance so we could do what they would like us to do?
Meaningful technical assistance.
Yeah, not a phone call that says cease and desist or
turn off the water.
Turn off the water.
Too late. It's too late. So that's a lot of misleading information.
Yeah.
And the law says that they're supposed to help us comply with the law by giving us technical assistance, written and oral, either way. And it says specifically, we never got written technical assistance. And I've talked to the author of the RCW 90.03.605, John Stuhlmiller. He was a Washington State Farm Bureau president at the time. He said he wrote that bill into place, so he knew exactly what we were talking about. And he said he and his team finessed the wording in there to hold the DOE or the government accountable. So he was really upset that they weren't following the law like they were supposed to. And I was trying to come into compliance because I knew there would be fines. And with all the certificates that we had and all the acreage to move and all that I was doing, I even have been quoted to say, surely we can work something out. There's got to be something that works here.
Because of this, we had a family meeting this winter and we said, this is 9 years. And when you've got over $1 million almost in attorney fees, we can't get out of this. And we had a meeting, and at that meeting we explained to the kids. So we have one son, Peyton, who is Pearson's one of his older brothers, has stepped in to pay some bills. And Pearson has stepped in to help us with house payments, insurance, other bills, because
some of the lawyers' fees too.
Lawyers' fees, that never ends. And it's not like you can get out of this. If they can't get us on the main issue, then they're going to cut you by 1,000 cuts to see whatever will stick, right?
Right. They either want to win by attrition, where I run out of money, or possibly die. I've had 7 heart attacks
during this time
and other medical issues, and you can't say that this stress on us is easy. So they keep taking my life and my livelihood away from me because they just choose to not follow the law.
Now, earlier today, I did receive a response from the Washington State Department of Ecology, not really commenting on where things are now, 9+ years later, but sending me a 2017 news release when they initially issued more than $600,000 in fines against this family. And they said, we issued the cease and desist orders, but the Fodys continued to tap into that aquifer. Here's part of what they sent me in that, again, release from 2017. The Odessa aquifer has been rapidly declining since 1980. Groundwater has dropped more than 200 feet, forcing local farmers and homeowners to drill wells deeper to reach the diminishing water supply. And they characterize the Fodys' continued water use as willfully ignoring the law and tapping into this vulnerable aquifer. Now, of course, the Fodys deny that accusation and say that ecology are the ones that are in the wrong here. They cite a state law, I believe it was passed in 2007, because of some of these water issues in that part of our state. But it was you can't tap into some of these aquifers, or you can all these certain times of the year based on what water supply looks like. But ecology in turn has to work with these family farmers and try to help them come into full compliance. And the Fodies contend that ecology did not do that. Now, this has really kind of bankrupted them after all this time. The mounting fines, the legal fees, I cannot even imagine, but it's been close to $1 million, they told me. And when you get in that tight of a spot, the bank doesn't look too favorably on you when you want to take out a loan that year for that year's growing season before you're going to get the payoff on the other end with the crop. Um, if you're in a lengthy battle with the state, not likely too many banks want to work with you, and that has been the case for them. They've had to rely a lot on their adult children. And one of their sons is Pearson Fody. He is an LA actor and model. He was on that Disney show Jessie. If you ever watched that, it was kind of interesting. I showed my daughters a picture of Pearson after our conversation yesterday, and they both said, I know who he is. So I didn't know the name, but I now got to learn a little bit more about Pearson. He's very concerned about his parents and devastated, really, at the cost on them for this battle over the last 9+ years.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal to see our entire legacy wiped away over essentially a secretarial error, and a moment that could have been resolved over a single conversation. I think that's extremely disappointing. You know, my parents pay taxes, I pay taxes, you pay taxes, and our taxes are now going towards attacking the people that are paying for, safety. And it's disheartening because we have to trust the government that they have our best interests at heart, and they just in this situation they don't. Um, and it's so insane because my life in LA is completely different, but it never stops being about the farm. This is my whole childhood was raised there, and to see it all completely taken away from us over the last 10 years is it's insane. Um, and more than that, it's really difficult to see your parents go through something so challenging. And my parents are awesome. Like mom and dad are fantastic because really don't show it. They don't show it to their friends. They don't show it to us kids. They really keep it to themselves. And I think that's been one of their strongest points. But recently, when we did have our conversation, I think my my goal with getting out into the press and using my somewhat of my little bit of notoriety is to help get the word out there because there is strength in numbers. There is strength in a little bit of public pressure. Public opinion does sway the court of personal opinion. And I think that has a powerful effect on the people that are listening and watching because it's not just about us and our water rights. This is about family farms all over America, all over the world.
So now the wait is on to find out if, in fact, the Washington State Supreme Court is going to take up their petition to review this case. It has gone back and forth for all of these years. The Fodies have won some of these court battles, the state has won others. They expect a response from the Supreme Court probably in about a month, the middle of June, they told me, and then it's likely to be a year or more before then arguments would take place. So still quite a while before this is completely resolved. And then they told me if they win at the state Supreme Court, they fully expect ecology to appeal then to the Ninth Circuit. So this is likely to have far-reaching consequences, not just for their family farm, of course, but for farmers across Washington state. And a pretty important case when it comes to water rights. It's an issue that, they're not alone in dealing with.